Imagine a life where you could go out for dinner with your family or your friends without a single bulimic thought crossing your mind. Where you could enjoy Christmas dinner without worrying about, how much you're going to eat and where you'll be able to sneak off to the toilet. It's a simple life. It's a life free of those life-sucking binge urges. I promise that that life is possible. And the tip that I'm going to teach you today in this video will help you get there. It's a simple tip, but it's a tip that will help to eliminate those binge urges. And if you are persistent and if you keep practicing it without giving up, it will eventually help to get rid of the binge urges altogether. And you'll be able to have that experience of going out for a meal with somebody you love and just enjoying the whole experience. I honestly believed that my body had become 100% incapable of digesting food. I thought that all the years that I'd been bulimic for had done some sort of terrible damage to my metabolism that was beyond repair. And I thought that if I recovered from bulimia, then in order to keep a slim body, I'd have to spend the rest of my life eating lettuce. And this was one of the thoughts, I think, that sort of kept me stuck in bulimia for so long, was that I believed that I had damaged myself, and no matter what, I would always have the legacy of bulimia living with me. I just want you to know that this is not true at all. Now that I have recovered from bulimia, my metabolism and my digestive system are completely back to normal. And in fact, they're probably better than a lot of people I know. Our bodies are resilient, and if you give them the chance, they will bounce back. You will be able to digest food again, and you will be able to function like a normal person. The reason why I'm mentioning this is because eating is such an important part of bulimia recovery, and it's the key message behind this tip that I'm giving today, is that you need to eat in your bulimia recovery. Depriving yourself of food is actually one of the biggest triggers for bulimia. And I used to think that I slipped up and binged when I ate. So in my head back then it was logical to think, okay, well, eating is the problem, so surely the solution lies in not eating. And this was what was keeping me stuck in that vicious cycle, is in my head I was trying constantly to deprive myself of food, but my body was screaming to be fed. And I remember many times thinking, okay, tomorrow I start my recovery, all I'm going to eat is fruit and vegetables. And in my head back then, that was the way that recovery needed to go. This is what, this was going to be the answer. And of course, every day when I was on a restrictive diet of fruit and vegetables, by the time 10 a.m. came around, I'd fall flat on my face with a massive binge. And of course, that would be followed by my head in the toilet, throwing it all up. And that would continue for the rest of the day. Every time I tried to restrict my food, it would come back to bite me in the bum. And I'm not sure when exactly I realized, okay, so this is part of the problem, it can't be part of the solution. Restricting my food is the problem, so dieting and cutting out certain foods can't be part of the solution. But anyways, I realized that, thank goodness, because it gave me one of the key tips that I used throughout my bulimia recovery, and that is the tip of structured eating. So what is structured eating exactly? Structured eating is planning your meals and your snacks the night before, and not only planning what they're going to be, but also planning when you're going to eat them. And you might be thinking, oh God, that sounds like such a mission. And yes, I'm not going to lie, it is a little bit of a mission, but it is so important. The reasons why it's important is because it will help your mind to realize that food is not far away, and will always know when its next meal is going to be and what it's going to be. So, for example, how this helped me was, I remember if it was, say, 9 o'clock in the morning and I got a binge urge, I thought, I need to eat something. In my head I could say, okay, just calm down, relax. In 1 hour's time you've got your snack coming along, and this is what it's going to be. And just knowing that food was coming and that I wasn't going to be restricting myself, it helped to calm me down, and I think on a subconscious level it helped to reassure my brain that I wasn't going to be starving it anymore. So, structured eating, I suggest having 3 meals and 3 snacks, no longer than 3 hours apart. So remember the 3-3-3. 3 meals, 3 snacks, 3 hours apart. So you might be thinking, wow, that's a lot of food to be eating. And back then I thought it was too. I thought, no ways. If I eat 3 meals and 3 snacks a day, I'm going to balloon. But the honest truth is that that's a normal amount of food to eat. And I think part of the problem with a lot of people who suffer from bulimia is they have a distorted perception of what is the right amount to eat. I remember seeing one of my friends eating a bread roll at lunchtime. She had a bread roll filled with meat and salad, and she ate it. It wasn't a big one, and then she had another, and I remember thinking, wow, that is a lot of food. But, you know, in reality, 2 small bread rolls for lunch isn't that much. And if you're feeding your body constantly, like every 3 hours, your metabolism will automatically boost as well. It's like putting little logs on a fire throughout the day. You know, it'll keep the fire roaring. So you need more food when you eat, you know, when you eat more frequently. And not only is it important from a metabolic sense, but also from that mental sense, where your brain knows, okay, I'm going to be getting food throughout the day. I don't need to panic, and I don't need to attack you with this huge binge urge and try and get you to eat everything in sight. Slowly but surely, your brain will begin to trust you again, and it will begin to trust that you're going to feed it. You might be wondering what a sort of normal structured eating plan would be, and so I've written one down that I used when I was bulimic, or along the lines of what I used to use. And it would start off, I would wake up, and before uni at 8 o'clock I'd have breakfast, and breakfast would be cooked apple, raisins, banana, and possibly some nuts and a little bit of cream. And this would do me until about 10:30, which was 2.5 hours later, and I'd have a snack, which would be a muesli bar and a piece of fruit. So then after that, I would distract myself into whatever activities I had during the day, and come lunchtime I would start feeling a bit hungry again, and I would have something like tuna and salad and some avocado. After lunch, my next snack would be at 3:30, and again it would be something like a muesli bar and a piece of fruit. And then dinner time would be about 8:30, and dinner time would be at about 6, and I'd have probably something like roast chicken and some vegetables. And then just before bed, I know some people say you're not meant to eat before bed, but I throw that out the window. Maybe an hour before bed, I'd have hot chocolate and a cookie or something like that. And by no means was it easy at first. I mean, the way that I say it, it sort of makes it sound like, oh, that's what I did. That's what I did the first day without trying. But no, it was not like that at all. Structured eating won't happen perfectly overnight. It takes time to get it right. And for me, my bulimia was really severe, and it took about 5 months before I could, before I had the breakfast snack, lunch snack, dinner sorted, and then I just had those late night binges for a few months after that. But after 7 or 8 months of structured eating, I got it sussed, and basically that was the beginning of the end of my bulimia. Was once I got that sorted. By the time one year had passed, I felt completely healed. So, structured eating isn't something that's going to happen overnight, that you get it perfect, but it's definitely something that you need to be patient with. And when you slip up on your structured eating, don't beat yourself up about it, because the honest truth is that slipping up is really normal, and I slipped up many times, and it's likely that you will too. But every time you slip up, just remind yourself, this is just a process, this is just something that happens, and I just need to get back, stand back up and say, all right, I'm strong enough to continue, and that's in the past. I'm going to be looking to the future. I like to relate it like with slip is almost like a marathon runner. And, towards the end of the race, when she's really tired, that's not going to be when you're kicking her in the shins, because she won't be able to get up again and finish. And it's the same with you. When you're really tired, when you're feeling weak, when you've slipped, don't kick yourself, because that's the time when you need to be kind to yourself, and not just kind, but really sensitive and loving towards yourself. Treat yourself like you would treat your best friend. What would you say to her if she was in your shoes, lying on the floor crying, calling herself horrible names? Would you say, yeah, you deserve it? Would you say, why are you doing those things? You're trying your best. This is just one step back. And that's the way I'd like to suggest that you treat yourself, is in the way that you would treat your best friend or somebody you love really deeply, because that's how you'll reach bulimia recovery, is through persistence with structured eating and through self-kindness when you slip up. Those are two very key ingredients. So obviously I had a lot of success with structured eating, but the girls in the bulimia recovery program are also finding that it really is helpful, and that it's the backbone of getting their meals back on track and getting back into a normal routine of eating. They say that it just gives them guidance and structure in those early days when you don't know what your body is asking for. Years of bulimia have got rid of the natural hunger signals and the signals that tell you when you're full. So structured eating is almost a way of training your body into knowing again what is normal. And they said that they have found that really helpful. Now you might be thinking, well, if I'm going to be eating 3 meals and 3 snacks a day, surely I am going to balloon, surely I'm going to gain a lot of weight. And that was something that was on my mind too when I began my recovery. And I'd just like to let you know that you may gain some weight, I'm not going to lie, but a lot of that weight will not be body fat. A lot of that weight is just simply your body rehydrating, because bulimia makes you so dehydrated that as soon as you start drinking and eating and actually holding some of it in, a lot of the fluid goes into your cells, into rehydrating them. And in the bulimia recovery program, in its guide, I've got a little picture that illustrates this quite well. And there's a little shriveled up cell that's really dehydrated and thirsty, but in recovery it becomes saturated and happy and healthy. And so when if you do notice a little bit of weight gain when you begin your structured eating, just remind yourself of this image. Close your eyes and just see that the cells in your body are celebrating, they're healthy, and they're becoming happy again. Yes, some of the weight that you gain may be fat, but majority of it, I can guarantee you, will be fluid. I've got another video which you might want to watch, which is about how much weight will you gain in your bulimia recovery, and I'll go through all this in more detail there. But I would just like to let you know that yes, it is normal to gain a bit of weight, and don't let it scare you out of pursuing the structured eating, because a little bit of weight gain is normal, and as I say, most of it is water. So stick with the structured eating. When you slip up, be kind to yourself, forgive yourself, hop back on board. If you notice any weight gain, remind yourself it's normal. Take a deep breath and continue with your meal plans, because I promise you this is something that can really help your bulimia recovery. This is something that could change your life. So please give it a really, really good shot.